Hi, everybody. This is Starting Out Bright, and I'm Noreen Savage. Thanks so much for being here. And you are in for a treat because Toni Wilkins is in the house.
You're so nice, so kind.
So before we get going, in case this is your first Starting Out Bright Zoom, I just want to introduce myself, who I am and who I'm not. First of all, I am nobody official with Bright Line Eating. But the program has done a lot for me. I got acquainted by a friend posting on Facebook, 2019, that she had lost 57 pounds with a program called Bright Line Eating. Anybody interested could just hit her up with a question. So I zoomed over to my messenger, and my friend Lori proceeded to tell me that she read a book, or there was a book called Bright Line Eating by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson. And in the book, there's described 4 bright lines you don't cross. No sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, weighed in measured portions. And when I heard all of that, I felt like I was sunk. There was no way I could do all of that. But I really love my friend Lori. We got together for lunch and I asked more questions, and she just encouraged me to get the book and to get into a group online. And the group is We Eat Bright with Lines. It was a private Facebook group, still going strong. And since then, I have found many Facebook groups, including the official, which is live right now. It's a public group, but Starting Out Bright is associated with these Zoom chats. So there's a lot of groups now, but back then I just got in this We Eat Bright with Lines group and I just sat and watched transformations happening before my very eyes, then and now photos, and people telling their stories and how they've overcome so much and lost a lot of weight, like not just 10 or 20 pounds, but 50, 100, 150 pounds. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope rise in me. And I promised myself that if I lasted 1 year doing this program, that I would do what Lori did. I would post on my Facebook page and I would help anybody I could. Well, the year came up in July 2020, and I'm getting ready to post. I'm a Christian and I feel God saying, Noreen, you can do more than that. You could connect people. It's the time of Zooms. We're in a pandemic. People are getting together by Zooms. And the thought was, if I could just get some of those people that were in that group to talk with those who were in so much desperate need for help and hope, that would be great. But who would come? Well, who comes is people who are willing to share and help at least one. Why do I say at least one? Well, when I was getting ready for my first Zoom, I went back to my friend Lori and I asked her, I said, Lori, remember when I went to you after you said, anybody come over here and tell me what you want to know? I said, how many people came to you? And she said, you're the only one. I'm the only one? I'm the only one that went back and said, how did you lose the weight? So tonight, if we just have one who is moved by what Toni's got to say, our work here is done, but you can spread the word. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Toni Wilkins. Toni, thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Taking one for the team. So
yeah.
Anyway, here we are. I told a little bit about my story, except I forgot the part about that I was 270 pounds. So I had a willingness to do something like quickly. Except this seemed too tough, except, we know differently now. Anyway, so Toni, how did you come to get into Bright Line Eating? And you can go back as far as you want, to help us understand what frame of mind you were in. Where have you been?
Okay. I have been all over the place. My goodness. But mostly just big and heavy and obese my entire life. I remember feeling like the fattest person in my senior picture compared to everyone else in my class. And I probably weighed 180 at that point, which was heavy for a high school girl, but not as heavy as I continued to get. So I remember my parents putting me on a diet when I was probably 12, but they went with me to Weight Watchers, my very first go around. And so I am pretty much just like everyone else who has tried every diet out there possible. I've tried Fen-Phen, I've tried HCG drops, and Weight Watchers countless times. I did Richard Simmons with my sisters, and we still, every time we hear the Sweat into the Oldies music, we still remember that fondly. And what else? Just everything. And then finally at 369 pounds, I was like, well, everyone else says gastric bypass is the answer, so I guess that's what I'll do. And didn't know if I was going to be approved for it or not, because by that point I was very, very unhealthy, on a CPAP, on blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, metformin for diabetes. And, I don't know. I just didn't think I was going to be approved, but I was. But I did have to lose 20 pounds before I could have the surgery. And so if you've ever watched my 600-pound life, it's very much like that. But I knew going into that surgery that it was not going to fix the problem. I knew that the problem was not in my stomach. And if I didn't change what was going on in my head, I was going to be just like all the other sad stories where they regained their weight. But I was just desperate. I couldn't do my job. I'm a 5th grade school teacher. I could do my job from a chair, sitting there. And as long as no one needed me to get up and go anywhere, I couldn't fit down the rows between the desks. I had to go sideways down the bus aisle because I was too wide to go, through the seats. When we would go on field trips, it was just my worst nightmare besides getting on the bus. If I had to get off and walk anywhere, I remember one time we had to go to a ball game, a baseball game, and I had to have my sister drive downtown to meet me where the bus dropped the students off because the walk was too far to get into the stadium. So she met me at the bus and drove, and oh my gosh, just so many awful things. The walk of shame at the amusement park, getting on the cannibal and all ready to go, and they can't put the things down. So, wait a minute, we can't start the ride until somebody gets off, and it's me. Oh, just horrifying. Broken chairs. I would be going to professional development meetings, and if they were having us sit in those high school desks where the chairs are attached, I couldn't fit in those. I was always looking for an extra chair in some other classroom that I could go grab and sit in the back. And yeah, so just a lifetime of misery and woe, and parents that weren't exactly healthy. I mean, my dad was a rancher, so he was pretty active when he was, ranching. But then as he got older, he was a truck driver. And so then he put on weight pretty quickly, but had a lot of problems with heart disease and diabetes. And so anyway, I tried all those Facebook challenges too, where they say join for 8 weeks and we'll just put your $50 in, and I just tried everything. So when I saw, sorry.
No, that's the thing. Is like, it's not from lack of trying.
Exactly. And I lost weight. I was successful losing weight many, many times. But then when I gained it back, just like everyone else, it didn't just come back what I had lost, but 20 or 30 extra additional pounds. So I was like you. I saw a friend on Facebook who was in one of those 8-week challenges with me. She was an old friend from college. And suddenly she looked like $1 million. And I'm like, oh, you are not just drinking 8 glasses of water a day and eating your vegetables. What in the heck have you done? And so she messaged me back and said, I read Bright Line Eating. And I'm like, it's a book? So yes, I bought the book very promptly and opened it up and saw the 4 bright lines, go right to the diet section like everyone does. How do you do this diet? Which she says not to do. And So when I saw that it was no sugar and no flour, I'm like, oh, absolutely not. I cannot do this, because I knew in my mind, I have known that I'm addicted to this for a long, long time. Absolutely eat like an addict and think like an addict, like sneaking it and hiding it and knowing I'm going to feel miserable after I eat it, you know? So I just put the book away for another year. It just sat there in my living room on my coffee table. So one day we were taking a big long trip to Idaho, and I was just finally sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I thought, let's at least give this book a try. And I asked my husband, if I download this on Audible, will you let us listen to it all the way to Mountain Home, Idaho? We were going to my brother's shout out to my brother, he's here, for Thanksgiving. And that's a big long drive, 4 hours, 5 hours if you're stopping. And listening to the book with Susan Pierce Thompson reading, doing the talking, it was just what I needed, probably as a teacher and as a human. It was coming at this whole thing from a different approach, from the brain science and from her being a professor and talking about, don't just jump right to the diet. Let's talk about why your brain is sabotaging you. I knew it was my brain. Yes. So, yeah. That's how I got started. And listening to the book just really sold me and my husband on the whole thing.
The other day when we talked, which was great, I remember when I said, what part of the book really spoke to you? And what did you say?
I said, it's that part where she compares the flour and sugar in its, refined form down into its white powder, where she compares that to crack cocaine. And it absolutely made sense to me.
Well, and it's so shocking when she talks about that you could be, what is it? Having a poppy flour.
Yes.
Chew on that, but you're not going to go and get into your grandma's stuff and steal her, appliances and sell them or whatever.
That's right.
Grind it down to its finest form. And what do we have? A drug. Same thing happens with sugar and flour. And it is just so shocking and revealing. I got to ask, is your brother one of the mischievous kids that you had to give coins to go get?
No, that's a whole nother story. I was I might have actually. I have 3 brothers on here right now that I saw. So it might have been Merrill, but he might remember that I was always sneaking food and staying home from school so I could eat. And when I found my mom's stash of 50-cent pieces that she was collecting in a Planters peanut can in her underwear drawer, I took those 50-cent pieces, and do you think I walked myself to the store to get my snacks? Oh no, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and so I enlisted my next youngest sister and probably my brother, and look where I just found 50 cents, go buy me a bag of Cheetos. And oh my goodness, yep, I would have them probably do that at least once a week. And did I share with them? Not to my knowledge. I think I pretty much, and a Fifth Avenue candy bar. Oh my goodness. I should be saying NMF.
I bet you were a smooth talker.
I don't know. I think they were scared of me because I was known to throw a few punches. I'm so terrible.
But right there, just talking about that says, there was something about it that you would even stay from school. I mean, there's something about that. So
not normal behavior.
This is the pull of certain foods. It truly is. So fast forward, you've gone through a lot of things, gastric bypass, you've lost weight, gained back weight. Now, you now have got the Audible going. What happens next? Because you're sold now.
Yes, and it was a trip to my brother's for Thanksgiving. And of course, I wasn't about to start it at Thanksgiving. And I wasn't about to start it in December when Christmas was coming up. So in the book, she talks about picking a day one. And I cannot say how important that is. Just pick your day one and stick to it. And so it was a good time. I wasn't going to wait till New Year's Day. Not sure why I decided that, but I was waiting until the day after Christmas. So December 26, 2018 was my start date, my day one. And I remember she says, get everything, clear out all the stuff. And you see them do that on TV shows where a nutritionist comes in and they take everything out of the fridge. And so I just had my husband back up the truck in the garage, and I went to the pantry and I just started pulling things out, all of the things that I thought were healthy, my flavored oatmeals and my protein drinks. And, I look at them now and the sugar content in those is ridiculous. So I loaded up the car, and then the next time I met with my family, I opened up the back of my car and said, anyone want to go shopping? I got some pasta, I've got some, this and that and the other. And, my younger siblings have kids, and so they did take some stuff, but they didn't take all that much. So the rest of it just went to the dump. And I'm probably lucky in the fact that now my husband and I are empty nesters, but I also think I started this when I was 54. I get emotional when I think about it, but I cannot believe that I had a spirit or something in me that was still willing to try one more time at age 54, when I had started menopause and all of the things were happening. I knew that my body was just hanging on to weight. So when I look at my melted body and the big girl that I used to be, I just am so grateful for her that she would try again one more time after gastric bypass. From 369, I lost down to about 280, but then started to stretch out my stomach. I know I was, and I got up into the 300s again. I was 309 when I started Bright Line Eating. And I had to take a loan out of my 401k to pay for that dang surgery because it's not covered by insurance, right?
Wow.
Oh, man. And I'm thinking, are you really going to waste $16,000 and just get right back up to where you were? What's your option after this? You've tried the big kahuna or whatever, this is it. So thank goodness that was the time that I discovered Bright Line Eating, because man, oh man.
And not only what you just got done saying as far as your age and going into menopause, I think that a lot of us have heard, well, you better get the weight off before then because, it's really tough after that. And then it's like, no, this kind of works.
Turns out.
That's what's really amazing to me.
Oh, me too, as a lady in her years.
And so now you got going, and that is just incredible that you cleaned out your whole pantry like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. It would have come in handy.
I think that came from knowing my childhood. I remember at age probably 8 or 9, maybe 10, sneaking chocolate chips out of my mom's pantry. And I just knew if the food was in there, it was going to call to me. I wasn't in a state yet where I could have it in the house and think that's not my food, I can leave it alone. I just wasn't there. And I think that's why, having suffered 369 pounds, oh my gosh, when I think about carrying a 40-pound bag of dog food into my house, I can just not even, I'm like, this is so heavy. Please help me, dear. And I've lost 5 of those, really. I've lost 210 pounds for my 369. And so I just knew that I had to give myself every possible advantage that I could. And so clearing out the food was one of them. And my sweet husband, I always sing his praises from the beginning, has made all of our meals. And that really helped me just keep out of the kitchen, and he would weigh and measure it, and that was it. And I knew that was all that was for dinner, and we're done. So I got a little bit stronger.
You were saying you're part of that. And to think about what, to really reinforce what you're saying as far as 369, you were saying that just to do the dishes, you were sitting in a chair.
I was.
Or, teaching in your classroom, sitting in a chair.
Sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm. And this is just to talk about how this puts the mobility issue into really focus. And you're willing to just, I'm doing the thing. It's the best Christmas gift you ever gave yourself. You planned this
For sure.
And,
for sure.
And you got going. And you told me your husband was phenomenal with making the meals. You did all the planning of it.
Yes, I was a big planner. I would write it all down, and I'd write out the exact measurements and how many ounces and all of this. And he liked that because then he didn't have to do any thinking. It was really just, here's what we're having. I would also man, did COVID come along at the right time with the online grocery for me, because I started in 2018. So 2019, we were still going to the grocery store, but man, 2020, the time of ordering online, so you don't have to go in the store and be faced with any of those, all the things.
I'm sure that's helped a lot of people even going forward. Those
Yes.
who never knew the service even existed before.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
And you're not alone. I'm seeing in the chat, others stole chocolate chips as a kid too. Even unsweet chocolate. Yuck.
Tried that too. The baker's chocolate. Yes. Did try that too. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
Absolutely. And I just think about that now, and that is a brain that wants to eat addictively for no good reason. And so that's another thing I loved about Susan Pierce Thompson's, all the information is that some of us are lower on the susceptibility and some of us are higher, and different brains can be around certain foods and be just fine. My brain, absolutely not. And knowing that I'm a 10 or a 10 plus, I do things differently. Like, I make sure that if there are treats in the break room, I'm either just passing through to fill up my water, or I'm not going in there at all. Just last week was parent-teacher conferences, and bless our PTA's heart, they brought in meals for the teachers 2 nights in a row. But it's just too hard for me to is there something I can pick out of there to make my meal when, I could be home by 7:30 and just eat my regular dinner the way I do anyway. So I just don't go down there.
And I think not only that, and I'm calling those teacher hacks, okay?
Yeah.
But I think because we're armed with this knowledge of the willpower gap, that we know, I don't really want to go in there for a half an hour. This has been so incredible this week. There was a piece of fudge in the workroom where I work on Monday, okay? A big old sleeve of fudge. And I've saw it 6 times because I'm going back and forth. And I'm thinking, what is the matter with people? The thing is the same size.
I know it.
Okay, so I keep going back and forth. I'm gone on Tuesday. It was our wedding anniversary. So I took the day off. Wednesday, there's still fudge. Thursday, there's still fudge. And I'm like, holy cow, if this would have been me before, there would not be any of that.
Amen to that.
It wouldn't matter if I like the flavor or not.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Amen. My mom she was a fantastic seamstress, and she would always have little treats and snacks hiding in her drawer, and they could be there until do you remember those circus peanuts, those orange things?
Yeah.
She loved those things, and they could be in there until they turned rock hard. She would just nibble on something, or, not me, when I knew it was there.
Brain. I want to ask you about another teacher hack, though, because I think that this is probably something that you're faced with all the time. What about the kids that bring in snacks for the teacher? What do you do with that?
They love to do it, and just bless their hearts. I mean, they're just trying to show you love and kindness and however they can. The year I started, though, that January, I went back and I told my kids what I was doing. And so please, if you want to bring me something for Valentine's Day, because that was the next holiday, I said, a nice card saying how you feel, some lotion or some fruit, and bless their hearts, they just showered me with everything that I possibly could eat, which I wouldn't eat, outside of meal times. And so that kind of hurt their feelings, that I wouldn't just pick up one of their apples and start eating it. But I did tell them what I was doing. And every Monday I would come in and check in with them and say how much weight I had lost the last week. And they would just cheer and go crazy. And they were so cute, my very first class. But ever since then, when I start the school year, I start with an all about me slideshow where I show them pictures of my former self. And there are several times they're asking me, now, where are you, Mrs. Wilkins? I don't know which one is you. And I'm like, they're all me. That's me in my former life. And this is why I don't eat sugar and flour, boys and girls. And why when you bring me treats, I need them to be cards, lotion, flowers, not sugar and flour. And they go home and tell their parents. And actually, a couple of times I had a couple of boys get on the bandwagon with me, and they decided they weren't going to eat sugar for a month. And their parents are coming to me and saying, what is this? He wants to not eat sugar for a month? What are you doing?
Well, I think it's really, I mean, you're in a unique situation being a teacher. I just applaud teachers. They're just an amazing force for children and for everybody to plant good seeds, really.
Yeah, not just academically.
We can all be teachers. Even the other day, I have a grandchild that, it's a treat to get a Starbucks, and somebody bought her a Starbucks. It was a cold one. And I looked at the back and I knew how many grams of sugar was in it. And I just asked, I said, so I just have a question for you. How many teaspoons of sugar do you think are in this drink? And how many do you think would be a lot? So like, she knows, she's like 12. And she said, I would bet that there's 8 teaspoons of sugar. And then we're just talking a little cup here. And I think that would be a lot, but it's probably 8. And I said, well, you're close. It's 11. It's 11 teaspoons of sugar in here. And so this is just an education, because I don't really talk about what I'm doing to the kids too much. But if they ask a question, I will tell them how much sugar is in things. And it's pretty shocking. It really is. When you get down to it. So anyway, you did this all on your own with your husband until what happened?
Until, are we talking boot camp?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I only maybe made it till February. And then at that time, boot camp was, kind of pricey. And so I'm asking my husband, but I'm hearing in the Facebook groups, all of these people that have done, like the boot camps, and just how much their boot camp house people became part of their lives and helped them along the way. And so I asked my husband, do you think I can do that? Of course, he has supported me 1000%, didn't even bat an eye. And so, yeah, I think I started December 26th, and I started my boot camp house. I want to say, help me out here, Katie. When did we start? Late February, early March. And so I started my boot camp, and oh my goodness, just the daily videos and hearing Susan say, okay, this week we're going to talk about, detox, or this week we're going to talk about bunny slippers, or, all those things just at the right time. And oh my, I just didn't turn back. Then I did grit, and then I did reboot, resume, and then I joined the membership this last year, because I'm so excited to just have all of the courses in one place.
Now, when we talked the other day, you said 2 things to me that I wonder how they were addressed with going to boot camp. Because from what we talked about, this was your first really immersion into anything other than reading the book.
Yeah.
So you talked about having negative self-talk, and you also talked about eating over any emotion. Like,
oh, yes.
Like any emotion, and a lot of us do. And just the other day, we're talking how many just negative emotions there are: fear, anxiety, depression, sad, mad, angry, frustrated. All these different things. But then there's the other part to celebrate, because I'm happy and I got the promotion, and congratulations.
Woohoo, let's go celebrate. 8. Yeah.
So how did those things get affected by what you learned in boot camp, or did you handle those feelings on your own?
Well, yes, they did get addressed in boot camp, and just I just remember always hearing, like on Oprah, when she would talk with people that have lost weight, and you've got to go back and uncover the wounded child and figure out what the problem was way back when. And I just didn't have that experience. I didn't have sexual abuse or any trauma or anything that I was eating over. But I, through boot camp, came to realize that I just didn't want to feel any emotion. And it's not that I didn't want to feel happy. It's just that during those happy times, you do go celebrate with food and then not even realizing that you're celebrating with food and you are numbing yourself to the happiness, because you come home, you're full and you just roll into your chair and you're just like, oh, I need this feeling to pass. Oh, so for sure I was eating over the negative emotions and the negative self-talk. Oh my goodness. I was so ugly to myself. The things I would say to myself, you're just so disgusting. And this is pathetic. Like, here I am, the oldest child, and I've had so much success in other areas of my life and got a master's degree. And I've been at this job for 31 years now and had lots of leadership positions. And why can I do all of this other stuff, but I cannot get this eating under control,
And again, it's not for lack of trying.
Yes, exactly.
Because
but I did.
It's like Richard Simmons. You put it there, now pick it up and put it down.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I didn't know though. I just didn't know how to fix it. And good grief. I mean, if you just trust Susan Pierce Thompson and that it is pathways in your brain that are, going in a certain direction all the time, that's how I felt about eating, is just driving me. Sometimes I knew I wasn't even hungry, but it's there, so might as well eat it, right? Oh, deal a meal. Yes, I did deal a meal too. Oh, that's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
And those are probably worth some money now.
Oh, I loved that. Oh, yes. Poor Richard Simmons. Whatever happened to him? I'm worried about him.
That was actually probably the closest to this, though, by having a structure where you could have things amount in a day. Seriously.
Yes, ma'am.
The problem was that I used all my cards up by lunch.
Yes. And now I'm just going to starve myself till tomorrow breakfast? No.
Absolutely not. Okay. So this took you from what you said the other day. It took you to maintenance, and that's where you had to regroup.
Yes.
And getting to maintenance.
What has it been getting to maintenance? Is that what you said?
Well, I know that you had some trouble getting to maintenance.
Yes, because I had never gotten to maintenance on any other diet in my entire life because they were diets, right? And I used to just be so jealous at Weight Watchers when I would see people that made it to maintenance and they get up there and talk about how long they've been in maintenance and get your little, like, will that please ever happen for me? It just never. So I think that I just thought when I got to maintenance, it's not that I was going to go off my bright lines, because that just has not even been an option. But I just tried to do it by exceptions. And if I decided I wanted a little extra protein here or a little extra fruit here, I would just say, oh, that's a maintenance ad today. Oh, that's a maintenance ad today. And that maintenance added me right back up 15 pounds, So, and
Susan did a vlog on that, actually.
Yes, maintenance by exceptions. Oh my goodness. And so I very humbly reached out to somebody in one of my Gideon Games teams, and I'm not the kind of gal that really asks for help like that. Like I said, I did a lot of it on my own, just from the book and whatnot. But this lady, Shauna Murph, a lot of you know her, is in my Gideon Games team. And I just feel so, the master. Yes. Exactly. So I asked her if she could work me into her busy schedule, because she guides a lot of people, and the timing was right for her. At the same time, it was right for me. And, Susan Pierce Thompson always says, just trust the plan, just follow the flipping plan, right? And that's what I decided I was going to do with Shauna. What she tells me to do, I'm just going to do. And since then, it's gone slower. And I did have some maintenance ads. I had to define them first and say, okay, actually, I'm going to add a half a protein at breakfast and 4 extra ounces of vegetables split between lunch and dinner. And so once I defined them and we said that's what they are, I was asking Shauna, do you think I should go back to weight loss portions? And she said, no. I'm like, but I'm 15 pounds up from my lowest. I really think I should. She said no. And so trust her. And I did not go back to weight loss plans. She said, once you started adding food, you don't want to your brain doesn't want to hear, oh, we're going to eat less again. So it's been slow, and it's taken me all summer to get off 10 pounds, but it's in a downward trend, and my brain has not felt in starvation mode or anything. And it's just been so glorious. So I'm still going to try to get that last 5 pounds off. But I was talking to my mastermind group about this just Tuesday, and just that, my maintenance is not as low as I thought I would go. But I'm seeing now that my body is really like settled around these numbers, and maybe I can get the extra 5 pounds off, but I'm not going to get down to 130. I'm not going to be a size 2. I mean, I came from 369 pounds. I've got a lot of extra skin. And Kathy Lehman, just bless her heart, she's like, this is my bright body. I don't need to compare it or like keep saying, oh, but the French formula is this and I must. No, I am living my life now, Yes. I'm out there raking leaves. I'm playing with my grandson on the floor. I'm walking all over my classroom. Sometimes I don't even sit down until lunch, which, who's that?
No kidding. It's just a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I want to point out what we talked about. One of the biggest pieces that Shauna introduced to you is food prep.
Food prep. And I was a big
food prep.
I was a big poo-pooer of that. I just didn't want to write my stuff down either. And that's what she said I had to do. You will send me your food plan. I don't care how you do it. And you will send me pictures of your prepared meals. I'm like, oh, there's no getting out of this. Right? Yes. And oh my goodness. The first thing I did was just start preparing my meals just for one day the night before. I'm like, oh, this just takes so much time, And she's like, well, it really doesn't take that much extra time to just get all 5 of them or 7 of them ready when you have all the stuff out. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought about it for another 2 weeks. And then finally, I'm just like, all right, fine. I'll do it. And my goodness, the lights came on and the clouds parted. And that's the answer for me. Oh wow.
When we have it on the slideshow, for those who are watching by YouTube, go back and see, because Toni, you do like the same breakfast, the same lunch, and right. You are totally happy with it.
And just today, someone who was sitting by me said, you eat that same salad every day for lunch. And I just said, you know what? It's not about the food for me. This is my meal and I know what I'm eating. I need to make less decisions about my food if it's the same thing every day. And I just see them door dashing now. My gosh, for teachers, door dashing their food in from every which direction, and a big swig order every afternoon goes around the whole faculty room. And I'm just like, and they kind of just mope their way back to class, because now they're having the food coma. And I'm just getting up from the table and heading on back for round 2.
Well, and I gotta say, because Shauna, and I hope you're there because I didn't see you, but what a superstar. But about this food prep, the thing that really hit me when I interviewed Shauna was that she makes 1 week's worth of breakfast the same, 1 week's worth of lunch the same, 1 week of dinner the same. And then the next week can change it, which you could too, Toni. You don't have to.
Yes.
You just like what you eat. So
yes,
let's keep going.
I think it might border on lazy.
Yeah, when she first introduced that, I thought, well, I don't know that I'll do 7, but maybe I could do 2. The same. Well, guess what? That works out so well. It's a game changer. It just really is to prep your food, because I had kind of a hard time like writing it all. Now I prep it all. And it's just like my husband does cook dinner, so I'm lucky that way, but I do breakfast and lunch, and it is the most peaceful thing to have it packed and ready to go for the next.
Yes, because in Susan's vlog, she says, when you make the easiest thing to eat, the right thing to eat, you're going to choose that. You're just going to choose it every time.
Well, the question here that I see is, what helped with your inner work?
that's another thing I've talked about with my mastermind group a lot is, do I love myself now more and I do more positive self-talk just because I'm thinner? Or do I really feel like, I still struggle with that because I just don't know. Honestly, it's easier to have positive self-talk now. And I think, all of Susan's courses and her vlogs, even if, oh, yes, Jenny, even if I only saw the vlogs, I just feel like that is so much information for fun and for free that absolutely is a game changer. That I think her coaching, her consistent just being there and talking about issues she's having and having, she struggles with that. When she talked about, not being so bright for a while, I'm like, what? That doesn't seem
talk
possible.
about 2 vlogs very quickly because we both agreed they have both been very powerful. One was on intermittent reinforcement. Now, you talked about there was one incident with the s'more incident where
Yes.
you went off plan.
Yes.
And it took you how long to get back on, even without having any more Not My Food? It took how long to get back on?
Yeah. It was about, I had passed my year mark and it was the next May. Our mom had passed away in April and it was just so hard during COVID and we couldn't have her funeral. And, it's just not the way we wanted to say goodbye to our mom. And so from April 14th to May 15th, I was really just weak emotionally. And, I try to talk to people about this willpower thing and how you build your willpower up. And then there are other times where you just cannot, you just don't have it in you. And I didn't see it coming, but I had also decided to go off my anti-anxiety meds that January. It was just the perfect storm of disaster.
Right.
And so, I was just feeling weak emotionally, and we were at my brother's in-laws house in Manti, and we were out around the fire and they brought out the s'more stuff and Reese's peanut butter cups, which are my all-time favorite thing in the world. And I just decided right then and there I was going to have one. And did I stop at one? Oh, no, I did not. Because as soon as you put that one in your mouth, then the what the hell effect kicks in. So I had as many as I wanted. And then I went in the house. I'm like, well, I'm off now. So what else can I eat? It was just so ridiculous how that had happened so fast. Right. Because I had lost at least 130 pounds by then. So, the rest of that night, I ate everything I wanted, and then I was miserably sick. But I did get right back on plan the next day. However, I fought with my brain for an entire 2 weeks about that intermittent reinforcement. Oh, we finally got the thing we've been waiting for, So how about now? How about we eat this? How about we eat that? So it was a long, hard fighting of a battle for 2 weeks before I finally felt any of that peace come back where it was a quiet brain again.
So that is really a vlog to take a look at. When you think that you're fine with just having a few cashews or whatever, the vlog really, really tells you why it's going to just keep adding more and more to your brain of just this frustration of constantly bugging you. And the other vlog that we talked about that we both agreed was just phenomenal was this Hold vlog that just came out. And now I think that we agreed on that it may not be possible for everybody to just sit in their pajamas for the day if they want to. I mean, and I don't think that Susan Pierce Thompson would say, yeah, just do that, everybody. But because you do have to go teach children, someone's got to be there. And I have to do things, and the dental hygienist does. And we have these things that we have to show up for. But I think kind of a spin-off that is like Hold Off. Like, what can we do to distract ourselves So what are those things that you use to distract yourself?
Yeah, the whole time she was talking about the hold and just deciding to like sit in her office and lay down on the floor and take a nap, I'm like, that's just so great for you, Susan. But in my mind, it was kind of a weak time for me again. And the word hold just kept coming into my brain, like she's talked about in many vlogs, like these cravings don't last for 24 hours. They last for six, like a few seconds or maybe a minute or whatever. So if I can just hit the hold button and hold off on that thought and go do something else, I can distract myself. I am shocked at how easily I can distract myself now. I'm a big TV watcher, so I can do that. But I picked up knitting. My mom tried to teach me how to knit for her entire life, and I just could never do it. But suddenly YouTube makes it look just so easy. So I picked up knitting, and I've probably knitted, 5,000 dishcloths.
Wow.
Well, not 5,000. I'm exaggerating, but I finish one and start another. And then I give them out for Christmas. I put them in the faculty room. Here's some more dishcloths. So I've done that. And I play the piano. And that is one thing that can just take me to another world. Like if I can just go sit down at the piano and just start getting out all my old favorites from the 70s and 80s and playing those and some Broadway tunes. And oh man, 2 hours can go by and I'm just oblivious. So I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. So I started with my nephew. And we had a great little term of it while he was taking guitar. I still have the guitar. So just, things. I can distract myself so easily right now.
And the thing is, now you can move.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Get up and go and rake if you want in the middle of the afternoon.
Oh, my gosh. Exactly. Yes, clean my bathroom, which I hate to do, or keep the sink clean with the dishes. Oh my goodness. I remember my son, oh gosh, when I was still heavy. Mom, is there just going to be one day where you're going to get up and get your own glass of water?
Oh, wow.
Maybe, just not today. Had him waiting on me hand and foot.
Wow. What a remarkable change.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how the time is gone. I do have a couple more questions for you. One is this.
Okay.
With all of these things, this is a mountain you've climbed. Truly.
Yeah, truly.
What would you call those non-scale victories that have happened as a result of giving something else one more try?
I'm not sure what. Do you want me to say
health-wise or just all the different things that have come about because not just seeing the numbers on the scale, but just those things that have come to you because.
Yes. Well, everybody always says it. Maybe it's just ladies. I don't know. But just that I can sit down and cross my legs, brings such joy to my heart. And sometimes when I sit down in an auditorium seat and I'm not touching both sides. No, it happens all the time now. Sometimes there's like a whole hand full of room, squeezing into the auditorium seats. I just hated that. So that's one of my huge ones that I happily go anywhere to sit down in the seat, and not worry about, am I going to fit? The flying on the plane. I remember the first time I didn't need a seatbelt extender. Holy cow. And then when I didn't need a seatbelt extender and I could pull the strap even more to tighten it up, that was a beautiful thing. Beautiful. Oh, and not always having to look for the sturdiest chair in the room because heaven knows I'm going to break that chair if I sit on it, and the sleep. I remember sleeping and I just could not get comfortable. Like the pressure of the weight of my body. When you think about 200 extra pounds of pressure, I just couldn't, I couldn't breathe. Sleeping is beautiful now. It's such a lovely thing. And I can just flip over in my bed. I don't have to get all geared up and swing a leg and, I can just do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I bet your A1C is better too.
Oh, my A1C the last time was 4.9.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't even worry about it either. I used to just not go to the doctor because I didn't want to hear it, for goodness sakes. I don't want to know it. I know it's terrible. But now I'm So what's my A1C?
Are you completely off all of your meds or not?
All of my meds I'm off of, yes. I did go back on my anti-anxiety. I think that has a lot to do with being a school teacher. And I am still on my CPAP. So it's not as high pressure as it used to be, but I'm good with that. Now that I know that it's not because of my weight, I'm good with it.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Mhm.
That's like miracle stuff. It really is.
And the miracle really is that December 26th will be my 4th year. The miracle is that I've kept it off, honestly, to me, I know you and I talked the other day and I thought you said it beautifully. I don't know what's on the other side of that cookie. I don't know if I have it in me again to get back on the horse. I mean, I want to believe that I do, but I just don't. I know what's on this side right now,
Right.
and it's so
Really
much better than
nice.
anything yes,
It's
than I've ever
really
had
fun.
before. Yes.
Let's go with fun.
That's right. Absolutely. So I'm just not willing. I'm not willing to like mess around and experiment with that anymore because I was in a miserable body, miserable life.
Wow.
And I had a beautiful life. I have great family and great friends and I love my job and I was miserable. That's just not right.
Yeah, it's just like it's just was something that was holding you back from living life fully. And,
yes.
And here you are, man. Okay, finally. There's somebody here that won tonight. There's somebody here who is, thinking maybe just as you were. I just don't know that I can do it one more time.
Try one more time.
What would you say to them, Toni, about bright line eating?
It's worth it. I promise you, you won't regret it. And you can lose weight at any age. You can do it. If you're just like, I don't know, you just have to be committed. Oh my goodness, these people, I got to turn off these comments because they're so sweet. But yeah, just know in your heart of hearts, if you want to, that person is in there and they want to get out and they want to enjoy the rest of your life. And how many years can that bring back to you? I was really afraid of dying at way too young of an age. And I didn't want to do that. I want to enjoy my cute little grandkids.
Oh. Wow.
Just, try it and know that the first couple of weeks are going to be hell. And that's what I did. I just slept as much as I could. I knew they were going to be hell, and I did it during Christmas break. So I just stayed in bed and stayed grumpy in my own room.
And I'm going to point out that also back up the truck and get rid of the stuff.
Yes. We are getting this out of here.
That is amazing. Seriously. We're having a free garage sale.
That's right. Anybody want to go shopping out of my car?
Amazing. That's just really smart. I got to tell you, we didn't do that. And there was a lot of temptation, but that took some guts, but you put it all on the line.
Yep. 100%.
Well, Toni, I gotta tell you, it's just been such delight to get to know you both the other day and tonight. And thank you so much for telling your story. Do you have any last words before we close?
It's so cliche, but seriously, I wasn't a gal that had 20 or 40 pounds to lose, and I didn't want to hear from someone who had 20 or 40 pounds to lose because in my mind, no big deal, what are you worried about? But now I've learned those people have just as noisy of a brain as I do. But I am a 369-pound girl and honestly addicted to sugar. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust the science. I mean, that's what's different about bright line eating for me is that it's coming from the brain perspective and what we have to change in our brain in order to make it work.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to close as I do each week. Good night. Stay bright. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody. So, Toni, how would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
Oh, I hope it's nothing too crazy. Okay, let's give it a whirl.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Well, you know what? I didn't get to this, but I know that you have a secret weapon that takes your mind off everything after dinner. It's something that you make. So what is that?
It's my favorite little fall blend of tea.
Well, details, lady.
I was never a tea drinker until this, and I even tried many different flavors. But randomly, I saw a lady put on a combination about a fall blend, and I didn't have exactly the flavor she had, so I just tried it with what I had. I had the sweet and spicy and the cinnamon apple spice. So it's 2 bags of that in a teapot. With a capful of rum extract and 3 to 6 twists of the pink Himalayan sea salt. And I let it sit out all night. So I mostly drink it cold. I don't really love it warm right now.
You make it in the morning before you go to work.
Yes.
And then
drink it when I get home, and make it before I go to bed, and then take it in the morning.
Fully immersed, the tea.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's delicious. When it's on the slideshow, I wanted to ask you that. So can't forget.
Oh, good. I absolutely love it.
Question number 2. Do you have a favorite book?
A favorite book that's helped me on Bright Line Eating, or just in general?
Yes.
To both. My favorite book is The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. Just love it. And that's my in general book, but I really do love Atomic Habits by, now why is his name gone? What's his name?
I'll think of it.
Yes, I get his email every Thursday, and I should know it.
Well, tell me about that. What is, because James Clear, Shauna's.
James Clear, there we go. Good job, people.
So let's talk about that for a second, this email thing. I know about the book. What impressed you about the book, first of all?
Well, I loved the fact that he says it's not the big thing. Like when I came into Bright Line Eating, I wanted to know 2 questions. How much did you lose, and how long did it take you? That's all I wanted to know. And he, in his book, talks about how if you focus on that big thing, you just almost never get there. It's the little things along the way, the daily habits that you have to change and do one step at a time. And for me, literally, that was always having my meals written down so I knew my measurements. That's a little thing, that was just a thing for me to be annoyed by, but do it and you are done thinking about your food. So that, and making sure that I had the food in the house to make the meals, writing in my 5-year journal occasionally. I'm not the best, but I do like to look back and see how just devastated I was when I started. Oh my gosh, just thinking this was not going to work. It was going to be like everything else. But just the little things, the listening to Susan's vlog when I'm feeling wobbly, or, picking one that's like, oh, yep, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this. So don't focus on the big thing. You got to focus on the little things. Put your shoes by your bed if you want to go out and walk in the morning, so they're the first thing you see. And if your food is prepared and it's the right thing to eat, you're going to do it. So I love the whole idea of focusing on the little things to get you to the big thing.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm still a work in progress too.
Me too.
But I've kind of been working on that for exercise, adding just a little bit. So now that it's changing the brain, like I'm a person that moves. Maybe a little bit, but I'm a person that moves.
That's right. I don't always have to find the closest parking spot anymore.
The third question, and this is for all the money, all the marbles.
Okay.
If you went back to the Toni of that Christmas, the night before you started this whole thing, what would you say to her?
Oh my gosh. I would say you have no idea how much is going to open up in your life when you don't have to think about food and your weight anymore. How much room opens up to do other things and be spontaneous and serve other people. And I had no idea how much, because that was my New Year's resolution every single year, right? I'm going to get the weight off this year. I'm going to do it this year. And it's so exhausting and just disappointing and saddening. And I just would tell her, you have no idea. And the peace in your brain, that's indescribable.
And I've got to say, the friendships you've made that are so clearly, they're all here with you tonight.
Oh my goodness, I have made the best friends. Who would have even thought? Because I am not, I mean, I appear all, this way because when I'm on, but I'm not a reach out and touch someone kind of gal, I don't reach out and try to make friends, but they have come to me through my being willing to like join a Gideon Games team and put myself out there or find a mastermind group. I saw somebody asked, how do you find a mastermind group? And you just have to put yourself out there and say, I'm looking. And there's Kathy with all of her hearts. Yeah. Yep, I've got 2 of the best.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure they will say that about you, and they have in the chat. So, Toni, again, wow. Just so inspiring and inspirational and informational. You gave us a lot of stuff here.
Maybe more than you wanted. Drink it out of a fire hose.
Not the least of which is reminding me of my Richard Simmons days.
That's right.
And I gotta go look for those deal meal cards because that was something.
They are.
So anyway, Toni, thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for playing 3 Question Thursday.
You are welcome. Oh, dance into the oldies. Yep. Yes. And somebody asked who the author was of The Hiding Place. It's Corey ten Boom.
Okay. I have not read that, and it's going to be on my list. So thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Stay bright.